When we tell stories that we've heard from children in Gaza, what we want to do is give those children respect, give them credit, let the world see that these are our children learning, these are children with imaginations, these are children like all our children. And it is children's stories that mainly we've been telling, but this time I want to tell a story that I heard from an adult, and her name is Sirin Ilayan. And the reason I want to tell her story is because she is a teacher. And I can't express how much I respect teachers who work to educate those children, who give love to those children, who teach those children in the most difficult of circumstances. Teachers from the core, real teachers. And when she told the story, well, you have to look and listen at the way she told it, and the voices she gave her characters. And I'm 73 years old. When I tell stories to small children, they think I'm as old as the hills. But you never stop learning. And I never stopped learning. And I didn't know that much about Palestinian stories and folk tales. And so one thing I've heard from Sirin is about Zarif Al Toul. And Zarif Al Toul is a bit of a trickster, I think. He's also a musician, wonderful musician. He plays the flute, maybe he plays an instrument called the mijwiz, which is a reed flute, two-sided reed flute. And he was a storyteller, a wondrous storyteller. He was also, as storytellers tend to be, extremely handsome. And this story, well, let's start the story at the beginning. Once upon a time, there was a young woman. Her name was Saraya. And she was beautiful. She's also smart. And she lived in Haifa, that wonderful city down by the sea. And every evening she'd walk along the beach and she'd look at the ripples as the moon shone on the ripples and the sparkling light of the sea. And she'd sing. She was a great singer. But one day she was walking down by the sea when there was something dark came from the sea. And out of the water came a terrible sea ghoul. And it looked at her and it said, "What is your name?" My name is Saraya. Saraya, I have been watching you. I have fallen in love with you. Will you marry me? Oh, no, sir. I cannot do that. I can't do that. No. I said, will you marry me? No, I will not marry you. Oh, dear, ghouls are ghouls. And his resentment and his sense of rejection, that was terrible. And so he arose from the sea and he seized her. And he dragged her down into the water and swam and swam and swam in the kingdom under the sea until he arose from the water on a rocky shore. And on the rocky shore there was a tall tower. And he shut her in the tall tower at the very top. Well, every evening he came to that tall tower and he said, "Saraya, Saraya, let down your long, black, beautiful hair." And so she did. Don't you see we're all one in all those different cultures? There are stories of so many common points and so many similarities. But she let down her hair, and the ghoul climbed her long, black, shining hair. And he said, Saraya, will you marry me? No, I cannot. Will you marry me? No. And away he went back to the sea. Every night that would happen. And one day she was at the top of the tall tower, and she was singing a song. It was a lament. It was a sad song that told of her tears and of her sorrow. And who should come walking by but Zarif Al Toul? And he heard her singing, and he sat and he listened. That was beautiful singing. And so he took his flute and he played a tune. And she responded with words, and he responded once more with music from his flute. And she said, Who are you? I'm Zarif Al Toul. And she let down her long, black, shining hair, and she said, Climb my hair. And he did, to the very top of the tower. And all that day they sat, and they played music, and they sang, and he accompanied her singing, and they told stories, wondrous stories, and they talked, and they talked, and they talked. They could have almost talked a hole in the ground. And so they didn't notice when the stars came out in the sky, and the stars twinkled, and the reflection of the twinkling stars was in the sea, and who should come from the sea but the terrible sea ghoul. And he stood at the bottom of the tower and said, Saraya, let down your long, black, shining hair. And she did, because didn't she always? And he climbed, and he climbed, and he climbed, and he climbed her long, black, shining hair. And there at the top of the tower, he was face to face with Zarif Al Toul. What is this? Who is this? Who is this? This is Zarif Al Toul. And he sees Zarif, and he hurled him from the top of the tower, and he tumbled down, and he missed the sharp and jagged rocks. He landed on the beach where the waves come in, and splat, he landed hard. He was hurt. He was injured. Saraya, who is this? Will you marry me? And she said, No, I love him. I love Zarif Al Toul. If you marry me, I will let him live. If you will not marry me, I will kill him. I will finish him off with a rock. And so she agreed to marry the ghoul, the sea ghoul, in order to save Zarif. He said, and he took her, and they went down from the tower and across the beach and into the kingdom under the sea. And he swam, and he swam, and he swam, till he came to a great cave. Into the cave they went. Into the cave. Now, I will go and summon all the ghouls of the sea, and we will have a great wedding here under the sea. You will be queen of the kingdom under the sea. And away went the ghoul. But Zarif Al Toul, he'd followed them, hurt though he was. He swam, and he swam, and he swam through his pain, and he swam through the sea, followed them to the cave. And into the cave he came. Saraya, Saraya, we must go, we must go. And together they went back into the sea, and they swam and they swam and they swam, and out of the sea they came at the great port of that beautiful city, Haifa. And they went ashore. And, well, he met her family, and later on there was a wedding. This wedding was a wedding of Saraya and Zarif Al Toul. But it is said, from way out at the sea, you could hear a terrible noise. Oh, a terrible roaring. And there you are. There's the story. And I would like to say they all lived happily ever after. I hope they did. Of course, a lot of things have happened since that time. And I can only wish everyone the very best, and those wonderful teachers who work so hard.